It's good. It's hitting more than.
Sleeping the whole night?
No.
Sleeping at least 4 hours.
All set, Bob.
Thank you, Heather. Welcome, everybody, to the May 3rd zoning board of appeals meeting. We always start with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, little housekeeping. You can go out the doors here, straight through the atrium or along either side of the boardroom. Have emergency exits if anything were to happen. It hasn't yet, so not too worried about it. With that, we can start with a roll call here. All present signify by saying aye. Robert Peckham, aye. Beth Malsworth,
Aye.
John Miglerini,
Aye.
Christian Chamberlain,
Aye.
Heather Robinson,
Aye.
Timothy Harrington is not here, and Aaron Lehman.
Aye.
With that, could I get someone to make a motion to accept last month's meeting minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for
April.
April.
April 5th.
I'll second.
Seconded by John, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nope, abstaining, aye. And Mr. Harrington's not here, so we, motion passes. Meeting minutes are approved. And with that, we can start. I will say, we'll call the number of the application. I'll ask you to come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record clearly and loudly so that it can, again, be on record. If you're online, obviously speak clearly into the microphone. We'll ask a series of questions. There may be some feedback from other audience members, and then we'll make a ruling. So with that, I'd like to start out with application 2023-027 by Stoneview Development LLC for 7'6" side setback. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Rich Orzik. I am the developer, along with Tim Hanna and Bob Tarbax for Stonefield Development. We built all of the homes except for one in there and developed the property. We bought it in 2005 or 6, started developing it in 2007.
Thank you. For my sake, what's your name again?
It's Rich Orzik, Orczyk.
Thank you.
And my address, I didn't mention that, is 103 Eastman Estates, Rochester, 14622.
Thank you. Heather, do you want to start?
Yep. Yep, so you're looking for a 7.6 side setback, whereas 10 is required. Do you want to give any additional information?
Yes, I do. I actually printed up some things that I brought for the board also.
Okay,
Okay.
if you bring,
If we can't give it back if you give it to us.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. It's nice to have you do it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Rich, can you just pull the microphone up a little bit? Thank you.
That is 3 iterations of site plans, and let me give you a copy of the building plans also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the proposed setback request was based on this building plan that Dr. Rao, Mrs. Rao, and Mrs. Hussaman had designed for the lot. This plan originally was designed for a house 2 doors down. And if you take a look at the building plan, and you'll see there's 2 master suites
Mhm.
on this plan. The second master suite shown on the plan originally was a den on the home that was 2 doors down. Because the Rouse are going to be moving from their home in Pittsford, their kids are just finishing up high school. They wanted their mother to be able to join her. Her husband passed away a couple of years ago, and they wanted to have 2 master suites on the first floor. One of the requirements in this particular subdivision that we have a deed restriction is that all houses have to have a first floor master bedroom. So we don't build any colonials. So the only thing they can really build is a cape or a ranch. In designing this plan, the former plan fit on the lot very well. Once we expanded the master suite, the second master suite is where we ran into the problem. If you take a look at the site plans I gave you and go to the last one, so the original site. I apologize for the education I'm giving you here.
It's okay.
Oh, we didn't see it.
Yep.
The site plan, that's.
Site plan, yes.
Sorry.
The original site plan, which is the last page.
Okay,
You'll notice that the side setback on the left-hand side would end up being 8.0,
Mm-hmm.
and on the right-hand side, 8.0. So we took the original plan, and if you take a look at it, we changed the second master suite from the original plan. We turned it sideways, took 2 feet off it. And we also took 2 feet off the garage so we could fit this onto the lot. Because this particular lot clips in the back is where we ran into the problem. So that was probably in February of this year. So we spent probably the next month or so trying to adjust the plan and make changes. And we came up with the second site plan that you'll see. And that ended up 7.8 feet off the side setback on the right-hand side or the west side of and actually, it's probably the east side of the property. And ended up at 7.8. Problem is that house, the house next to it, is just about dead nuts 10 feet off the property line.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have been, 17.8 feet between the 2 houses. So in looking at it, the engineer recommended sliding the house over to the left, to the west, making it 7.6 feet off the property line, but making it right at 10.1 on the eastern side. The reason that we think that is probably our best solution is because the house further to the left is 14.8 feet off the property line. So we'd end up with being about 22.4 feet between the 2 houses. And most of the houses in that subdivision are just 20. The lots were designed for empty nesters, not as small as a patio lot, not as big as a full estate lot, but something that's manageable for people. That's why we designed them to have all first floor masters and to have a little bit higher end finishes on these houses. There was a recent article in Democrat and Chronicle that shows the house very to the right of this one that's already built, that sold for $640,000 or $645,000. And it was the highest sale of a house in the town of Henrietta. We're very proud of what we built there, and we have never asked for any variances at all. But because this family needs 2 master suites, this is the only way we could really figure out how to do it. There is a letter in your packet from the engineer that discusses the width of the house and the width of those rooms in the back. We thought about trying to take a couple feet out of the great room. There really just isn't enough room. And to have access for not necessarily a wheelchair, but a walker, things that people need when they're aging. This is the only solution we were able to come up with.
Did you guys get the letter that he's referencing from the engineer?
It's-
Oh, okay.
It's from Tom Murata from Carini Engineering.
I didn't. Okay.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I was looking through the paper.
Not what I gave you today.
So you design all these houses and they're all different.
The architect, we hire architects. Typically, we've hired Carini Design, James Fahey, and Greater Living Architecture. Those are the three main architects that we've bought plans from.
Okay,
But we assist in that process.
okay. Do you offer the same group of plans to anybody purchasing a lot off this subdivision?
We don't sell lots typically.
Okay,
So we do, Stoneview Development is the developer of the property. My building company is North Coast Development, and that does the building of
Okay.
the individual houses.
okay,
And we don't have any stock plans. We're not a huge builder. We're not building a 300 subdivision, and every third house is the same house.
right,
The
okay.
Maribel or the Michael or whatever they
Yeah,
name.
that's kind of what I was asking.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So all the houses are individually designed. We started this process with James Fahey, who designed the house that was 2 doors up in July of last year. He had a 18 or 20 week turnaround time to do a plan.
it's a long time.
Which is a real long time when somebody wants to build. And so we took it over to Carini Designs, and they got approval from Fahey. There's a good relationship between the two of them to redesign this plan for this property. And then the people spent, probably till January getting these plans done and made changes back and forth. Different roof lines. You'll take a notice that this is all hip roofs on this house. There's a lot of stone on this house. I had to really sell my backside off to get them to take 2 feet out of the garage so we could squeeze this down as far as we can. And they spent a lot of money on these plans. And unfortunately, there was, I don't know who missed it, but the little clip in the back is where we got
Yeah, so.
in a pickle.
One of the things that I'm curious about, are there other lots that they could use in this neighborhood?
I have one other lot that we're going to build on, and that has a contract on it.
So the answer is no.
Right.
And, looking at I'm sorry, Heather, I'm just.
Oh, you're fine.
Looking at your drawings of the house that you gave us, the front elevation or the side elevation, is there a dramatic elevation change from front yard to backyard?
Oh, yes. So the lot slopes off. These are all walkout lots. And there's probably a 10-foot deviation from the front yard to the backyard. So most of the people, they've also have plans for additional windows and doors on the lower level that will accommodate more square footage in the future if they so choose. If you take a look at the second floor plan there, which really doesn't have any effect on this particular request. The other 2 bedrooms that they're putting up there are also suites. So this is a house that's going to have
4 suites.
4.5 baths. It's
How large is this house?
2319 square feet.
You
It's-
said full walkout, it's walkout basement.
Yes, yeah. Everything on that side of the development is a walkout.
So the other thing that we should be aware of here, and I'll make sure to make note of this for the record. We have multiple comments coming in from other neighbors. We have 3 comments coming in writing that are all in objection to this. They don't feel that, they do feel that it will change the effects of the character of the neighborhood, since all of the properties have a setback determined by the town. This will be closer to the next door neighbors. We did hear what you said. But again, this is their feedback. There are other ways to be within the setback as required. There could be a different plan. The house could be built on a different lot, which we know now is not the case. Your testimony stated that. And it seems as if the alleged difficulty was self-created by the fact that choice of this particular architectural plan does not fit the property, which is right. Another resident stated, the resident and against the approval of the variance due to the setback at 35 Stonefield News Lane. They're already very close, and this will make this house closer to the neighbor's property. When the neighbor built their house, I'm sure they were informed of the town's required setback, and that was taken into consideration for building. Please deny this request. And the final one. They've been at a certain address for 14 years and they're unable to attend. They're writing about the variance at 35 Stonefield News, which they oppose. To keep the integrity of the neighborhood, the 10-foot setback needs to be maintained. All the other homes have been built to this standard. Again, they mentioned the vacant lot, which we now know is not the case per your testimony. They have no concerns the home will be built on lot 19 as long as it conforms to the standards set by the development was approved by the town in 2007. So 3 people that we have been given written testimony or written comments from have been in opposition. Heather, I would like to ask you real quick if you could, I think you said no earlier, but do you have any others that had writing or left comments specifically regarding this?
Those are the only ones I received via email or nothing in the mail. I do have some people online. I don't know if they're looking to make comments when you get there, but I do have some people online.
Okay, thank you. So that is some of the feedback we have. And it looks like from my seat, it looks like your customer has done a lot of work to try and deal with this setback issue. But it's definitely still not enough size-wise to fulfill it. So this is where obviously why we're sitting here with the dilemma today. And there's clearly quite a bit of opposition about it. So do you have any more testimony that you would like to share with us before we hear comments from other people that are?
Well, I think if you took a look at the second site plan, and which has probably the least impact on everything, the second site plan
Yep.
has the least impact at 7.8 feet on the right-hand side, and it would affect just that, it would affect that one property owner for a very small area. We thought that because there is 14 feet to the other house to the left, that would be a better choice. And the big issue is the width of the rooms needed for just to be able to move around for first floor. First floor living.
And you say it was 14.8 inch or 14.8 feet, that is. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but my thought is that the deck behind the house,
That's only 10.
it makes it only 10 feet,
10. Yeah.
10.9
So-
feet from
Yeah, that would bring that down to about 18.7 feet.
18.7.
Yep. So, and it's an elevated deck, and it's really just kind of a walkway. It's not a structure. On this side of the house is also just the 1-story section of the house. So it has the least impact. The other thing that I did speak to the neighbor to the left, and
Which house number is that? You know,
to the left, it's
Well,
lower,
20.
it's lower than 35. I'm
I
sorry.
believe it's 29.
29, yeah. could
One
be.
of the neighborhood.
Yeah, it could be
That's one of the ones that's referencing this.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's actually she's on vacation in Europe. The other factor is, we started this development in 2007. We had a mortgage crisis, 2008 through 2010.
Mhm.
And this development, it really took a long time to build out. We were offered by Ryan Homes right around that time to just sell out the lots. And we felt that it wouldn't be good for the neighborhood nor the neighbors to have just a big box builder come in and take over the lots. The very first house I built in the subdivision, excuse me, is for my parents. And we sacrificed a lot to make sure that every house is different. And we put a lot of time into it. We covered all the costs for the HOA until we just turned it over. And there was shortages, until you have a full HOA built out, there's always going to be shortages. So there wasn't a lot of money made in this development. And, just by the sales of resales, people have done very well. I don't think there's an impact. I apologize for getting choked up.
It's okay.
My dad's in a nursing home now. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Is there any other, and at this point, I'll ask other people.
Sure.
Are there any other comments from people in the audience in person here? There's one behind me. So I'll ask you to have a seat for a minute.
Thank
We
you.
may call you back up in a minute as well.
Thank you.
Good evening. As you heard, please state your name. And
Yeah, my name is Mark Clark and my wife is with me, Stacy Clark. We are at 41 Stonefield Muse Lane, which is adjacent on the other side of the house. We're not impacted by the variance request. But we do want to make sure that you, for the record, you hear our views. First of all, I do think that the subdivision is an amazing place. We are the house that's referenced in the Democrat Chronicle. And obviously we wouldn't have made that investment had we not thought very great things about that. But I will say that just as Rich described the design, it is designed in a certain way and meant to be in a certain, in my mind, structure and set of specs. This encroaches on Janice Sangillo's property, which is the one that will be impacted. And though it does have a little bit more setback, side setback opportunity, that was factored into the construction of their home, and everybody else who's built the home there is obviously live within those requirements. Though I understand, because I built a home before, how challenging it can be when you run into these kinds of issues. My sense is that to maintain the integrity, and my wife feels the same way, the integrity of the neighborhood, that we need to live by those sets of specs and standards that have already been established. So I'd like to make for the record, I do disagree with the variance, and my wife would second that.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your feedback. Are there other people in the audience that want to have any comments? And again, I think in here we have everybody cleared. Heather, is there anybody online that would like to speak?
No one is raising their hand on here. Do any of you folks online want to speak? Please click on the raise hand button. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything raised, Bob.
Okay. Thank you, Heather. So with that, are there any more questions from board members?
I have none.
No, Aaron?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. Anyone on this side? Okay, so with that, should we pause? Should we postpone this till the end and make a decision, or do we think we want to decide on it?
I think we need to decide. Maybe do a strong poll.
Straw poll.
Straw poll.
I'm okay.
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 No.
No. Christian?
I'm good with it actually, because
So we can decide. So with that, we can close this application.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2023-027 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The proposed house is in line with the neighboring houses. The applicant has taken into consideration the distances of adjacent homes during the design process. The variance can be achieved by some other feasible alternative. However, the applicant has exhausted all options to find another feasible alternative, and this solution meets their desired needs. The variance requested is not substantial, that the applicant is only asking for a 2.6 foot of relief. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created, as the applicant has designed a housing layout that best suits their needs. However, that layout doesn't fit in the purchased lot, which requires the variance. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
Who would like to second that?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Aaron. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. So two opposed, Heather, it's Bob and Beth, and the others have approved that. So with that, the variance does carry. You have been accepted for that, and the appropriate paperwork will be followed.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the feedback on that.
Hey, Bob, can you check that your microphone is on? You're sounding very far away.
Can you hear me better now?
That is much better. Thank you.
It was not on. I was talking close to it, though. Application 2023-028, John Lindblom. He's online.
Actually, it's Curtis.
Oh,
Curtis, please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, I am Curtis Angel. I live at 242 Doewood Lane, Rochester, New York, 14606. And I'm actually representing John Lindblom for his variance for a deck at 40 Quaker Drive in Henrietta.
Oh, well. Thank you, John. John is here in
Oh,
person.
John's
You're in charge today, it sounds like.
I've done this a couple of times, so.
Please tell us about the deck.
So right now there's currently, it's probably like a 12, I want to say it's like a 12 by 16. It's an existing structure. It has a ramp on the front of it. And I believe John, if I remember correctly, put it in around 2005. So it's just getting old and outdated. They no longer need the ramp for access. So they wanted to remove the existing structure and put in a new structure, which would be 8 by 12. So we're making it a little smaller. And basically the request for the variance is there's a 60-foot setback from the road, because it is on the front of the house. So there's a 60-foot setback from the front of the road, and the garage is actually at 61 feet. So we would be coming out in front of the garage 4 feet. So I believe it's a 3-foot relief that we're asking for, so that we can build the deck with a set of stairs to the driveway. It's just it's really just a small 8 by 12 porch for access to the front of the house and the driveway.
And by the way, it is a 3-foot relief that you're asking.
Yeah, it's 3 foot. Yeah.
So we had another gentleman who's going to do this who couldn't be here today. So I will, or Aaron, you want to lead this?
No, you can go ahead.
So the reason for removing the existing porch is because it's just got a ramp that's not needed anymore and it's a little bit outdated, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Is the other porch deteriorated? I mean, everything I could see from this didn't look like it was in necessarily bad shape, but just not what's desired for the front of the house anymore.
Correct. Yeah, and my only concern is when we tear the old decking off and we take the old railing off. My only concern is that it was built so long ago that when we put our new material on, it's not going to be structurally sound to hold our new material or secure the railing properly. So we really, for John's sake, I can't guarantee my work if we're going to build on old materials.
Okay, hold on one second. John actually also stepped up. He'd like to add some color to this. So John, please, again, for the record.
John
state-
Lindboom, I'm the homeowner. The existing deck ramp is deteriorating. It does need to be at least repaired for safety purposes. In addition to the other factors we mentioned.
Okay.
Okay.
And just to repeat again, overall, this will be slightly smaller is what I heard you say, because the ramp effectively makes this a larger.
Correct. Yeah, so currently, John will attest to this too, that right now there's a step and if I remember correctly, John, there is a step and a ramp. So we are going to make it smaller. So it is just a step right off the driveway and then directly into the house.
And what will this be made of?
So it'll be pressure, standard pressure treated framing, composite deck material with a black aluminum railing.
Yep.
So since you are here, what is the purpose of the deck besides, entry and exit into the house? Do you plan on, sitting out there? Plants?
We do use the existing deck and ramp as a porch type to sit on and for aesthetics and just use and function of it.
Okay. Is the size that you're gonna be doing, is that gonna suit you guys sitting out there leisurely as well as entry
Yes,
and exit?
Essentially, what is there right now is a small deck and a ramp that we needed when we purchased it. We don't have the need for that anymore. So we're taking the new structure we want to install gets rid of the ramp part, but maintains the porch part.
Okay.
And if you were to, for whatever reason, add a ramp back to the entry, would you be able to do that with the requested setback?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it would be it would make it too wide and we would actually end up coming up another 3 feet into the setback.
Okay.
We originally built the ramp and did a lot of other accessible modifications to the house because my daughter required a power wheelchair, but she passed away in 2011. So that's why we don't have need for the ramp at this time. And I don't foresee any reason for having a ramp that I know of at this point.
Great. Are there any more questions from the board members?
I have none.
No.
Are there any questions from any members of the audience in person or online, Heather?
I've got nothing.
Okay. With that, I think we can close this application.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2023-028 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The proposed improvements are in character with other front entries of the neighborhood. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. Ease and safety at the front entry requires a lesser setback. The variance requested is not substantial. The setback reduction is less than 10% of the required distance. The variance will not have a negative effect on the physical or environmental conditions. No negative physical or environmental effects are foreseen at this time. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created. While the difficulty was self-created, improvements will maintain the safety and ease of access to the front entry of the residence. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings that the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
I'll second. Oh.
Beth seconded that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Again, it'll be a couple days. You'll have the approval in the mail.
I bet. Thank you for your time tonight, guys. I appreciate it.
Have a
Have a good
wonderful day.
evening.
And last but not least, we have 2023-029 1400 Lehigh Station Road.
Mhm.
Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Dave Meyer. I live at 2147 Rush Mendon Road in town of Rush.
Mhm.
And I'm representing Henrietta United Church of Christ. I'm one of the trustees.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome.
welcome. So I think the application is I understand it and the board understands is you're redrawing the lot lines because are you thinking about selling the other property?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So the parsonage is at 21 Green Clover and 1400 Lehigh is immediately adjacent.
Mhm.
And when it was built in, I want to say 66 around
Mhm.
there, there's a shared driveway
Mhm.
that provides flow from Green Clover through
Mhm.
the parking lot and out to Lehigh.
Mhm.
And when we contemplated separating the parcels and for the purpose of selling the parsonage, we have other needs for the finances, frankly.
Mhm.
We had an informal meeting with the town, with Supervisor, Steve and Craig, and
Mhm.
just to find out what the process is,
Mhm.
could we, isolate our property from the driveway and make that part of the parcel for the
Mhm.
parsonage, and they indicated no, that we needed to retain flow through the parking lot for fire truck access and
Mhm.
emergency vehicles, et cetera. So, we will need a shared use agreement
Mhm.
and an easement that's part of that parcel, which we've proceeded on.
Mhm.
And in looking at the original maps, and I have the original map, and Heather, I had sent the PDF of the revised map incorporating the town engineer's comments from the administrative review for subdivision. I don't know if we have
this.
those that can put those up.
We have it on our screen.
You do
we
have
can
that.
see
Okay,
it,
very
yeah.
good. Well, I have hard copies if that helps. And I also have photos, pick copies if that helps too. But at any rate, the old property line kind of bisected part of the parking lot. And
Yep.
when the trustees got thinking about it and what would be involved years from now with navigating that piece of parking lot that is somebody else's property, and repaving, we have some parking lot maintenance work that we know we have to attend to,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera. We decided it might be better for all parties involved if we
Mhm.
could realign that southern property line on Green Clover to match basically the edge of pavement. So it's a clearly delineable, and frankly, we think we're on better footing with our new neighbors, whoever they might be.
Right.
So in the process of the review with the town engineer, he suggested that we seek a variance for this pre-existing condition.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay, there's a lot of notes for that. So I'm sure you've seen it too. It's up on screen now, but
Yeah.
I was trying to, with the interaction that you've had with the town.
Yeah.
Engineer, Chris and others.
Yeah.
What is the biggest concern that they have that required all these notes? Because to me, this, what you said is very clear, but I'm.
So some of the notes relate to correcting some of the documents that were referenced. As far as I could tell, the most substantive comment from my perspective was they wanted the amount of square footage to be exact between the new parcel and and the new lot line would have exact same square footage for 21 Green
Mhm.
Clover as it does today. And
So you
so,
had a,
so we jiggered
maneuver.
you're right, the surveyor jiggered the line a little bit to accommodate 4 additional square foot of property.
understood.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a reason for that. Okay, so we see this, I'm gonna call it a sort of a odd lot line that
Yep.
follows the parking lot.
Yes,
And that's the only point in question. You're asking for 0 offset from that parking lot or the driveway there going into the parking lot.
Right.
Because you're splitting it.
correct.
And that's the only major concern that you have, or that we have, and that's why you're here for that.
That's my understanding.
Mhm.
And Aaron, this one is yours, right?
Mhm.
Was there other things that you wanted to ask?
No, Kevin, the minimum driveway for I'm assuming it's a two-way entry.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
The zone it says it's a 20 by 60 foot easement, so I'm guessing it's a 20-foot driveway. Is that the minimum? Or does that meet minimum requirements for a two-way entry driveway?
Looks like it's driveway itself.
18
Yeah,
feet.
you're right, it's 20 foot wide. Both driveways are actually the same. even though
it's 20 by 60.
Yeah, 20 by 60.
It's. You're right, for a commercial two-way, I think is it one way in, one way out, or actually?
Well, it's never been noted that way.
Yeah.
So technically not. But again, it's it's been this way
Mhm.
Right.
for
Right.
since 66.
Is this gated off, or is it?
No,
No.
It's
No,
never been-
actually, that was another solution that we investigated initially was the possibility of gating it. And they
Mhm.
said, no, please, we can't do that because of
Fire.
For
fire
fires,
trucks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Again, it's
the
pre-existing.
church, it's still the church's property, church's driveway, it's pre-existing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay.
obviously the new property owner in the house.
Right.
is
And
gonna-
our,
Which is the way it's been,
Right.
when they leave, they'll just have to,
Right.
don't leave at, 9:30 in the morning on Sunday. There's a lot of traffic coming in. Yeah.
our building, as it should be, is utilized every single day.
Yeah.
And that's improving post-COVID, which is what our hope was.
Yep.
And our intention is to be good neighbors with whoever our new neighbors
Mhm.
might be. And our shared use agreement, we are responsible for snow maintenance and what have
Mhm.
you on the drive, both to Green Clover and the others. So
Okay.
just the stub driveway that goes from, the new
property
property
line.
line up to the garage would be their responsibility.
I'm
You're
good.
good. Are there any other questions from the board? Any questions from members of the audience, Heather?
Nothing.
With that, I guess we can close this application.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application ZBA 2023-029 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The requested variance is intended to eliminate the need for additional easements required to perform maintenance of the existing asphalt pavement driveway and parking lot. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. The existing driveway cannot be narrowed to accommodate the required setback and maintain two-way traffic without requiring changes to many site improvements. The variance requested is substantial. While the variance is substantial, the existing conditions allow for both properties to maximize their use. The variance will not have a negative effect on the physical or environmental conditions. No improvements are planned on to the site. The requested variance is to remove the need for additional easements to the properties affected. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created. The existing asphalt pavement was placed on the property that has caused the need for the variance. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
Second.
Wow. Seconded by Speedy Beth. And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. And with that, at 7:45, the meeting has adjourned.